Adelaide's appeal against Zak Butters' umpire abuse charge was successful. Of course, they very, very much centered the appeal around their kind of annoyance at Jason Johnson, tribunal member, former Essendon player, of course, who spent, debated during the appeal, but 20 to 25 minutes in his car driving to an open inspection while on the tribunal hearing. Of course, he dropped out for a minute here and there. And Port Adelaide basically just argued that tribunal situations of this nature require absolute engagement in the process. And when you've got people, whether it be the head of the chair, I'm blanking on a name, that had an engagement to go to after it as well, and that's why they couldn't get the reasonings out until late into the next day. Jason Johnson's, leaving from work to go to an open inspection, so clearly his mind is elsewhere. Regardless of how much he wants to say, his mind's elsewhere, and that was the core of Port Adelaide's appeal. Of course, their King's Council member and his dogs, Labradoodle. Good jokes about the secret agent Albert possibly being involved. Port Adelaide successfully overturned Zak Butters' appeal, and for me, and I'll let you go in a moment, but for me, and we'll get into the semantics of it maybe for a minute, because a lot of people are arguing the terminology, but I'm saying he's cleared, and I'm sticking to that because that's exactly what's happened to me. How do you feel about it?
It's as good as that for me too. We can all just fucking move on from this debacle. Because that's exactly what it was, a debacle. Yeah, semantics, technicalities, all of the above. I think their starting point and what they chose to be their main focus of a mistrial, for all intents and purposes, was a smart move.
Miscarriage of justice was the official terminology.
Yeah. Just really laying it on thick. Just to drive the point home, which, I think the broader AFL community would agree that, like Jared Waitley said, it was a schmozzle. So, justice is served. Zak doesn't have to pay his fine. Yeah, there's the technicality or the semantics of whether, he still did the thing or if there was a miscommunication. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. The AFL wants to move on, seeing a conspiracy theory that this has all just been part of some grand plan of being 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Like, no one's wrong. It was it was a miscarriage of justice, as you said, that, muddied the waters, and it's better if we all just move on, which, look, wholly I agree with.
Yeah. The thing with the term, the cleared, and why I used it, and a lot of people, and a few people said, well, he's not cleared, it was a technicality he got off on. But I think that there's a couple of key points there. The fact is, they've tossed out the case. They've dismissed the case that he was found guilty of. So if he hadn't been found guilty last week, then we would have said he was cleared. Now, that case that he was found guilty of has been thrown out. The charge has been dismissed. So we're back to that square one. And the AFL was actually offered the opportunity to retrial, like the appeals board actually recommended, go ahead, retrial it. But the AFL, I think, went in with the understanding that they would not do that if this was the outcome. And I think I've read somewhere that Port Adelaide were well prepared to go further if needed as well. Like, they were, this kind of utilizing this technicality was like, if we can get through on this here and then it doesn't go any further, then we've done our job, but we're prepared to go further. But the case was dismissed. It was thrown out. The charge was thrown out. Zak Butters was, doesn't have to pay his fine. And for me, all of that kind of reading between the lines of that and how that's kind of been worded, whether or not and people are going, well, the accusation's still there. Well, that's how it works in all around the world. People can say shit, but if the charge is dismissed or whatever, then what the official statement or state of proceedings is that Zak Butters was cleared and dismissed, and he's not guilty of a charge of umpire abuse. Ergo, he has been cleared. To me, and like people can argue semantics all they want, and what's going to someone on Facebook said what's going to happen to Nick Foot, and I'm like, nothing either. Like, it's just we're at the point that it should have been like a day afterwards, which was like, well, we don't have evidence. No one heard, both people are saying they're innocent. Nick Foot can, yell to the cows come home that he heard what he heard, but, we're at the point now that it's in the past, and that's all we need to worry about. The main thing for Nick Foot now is that his credibility is being questioned about his involvement at Sportsbet, and that wouldn't have happened if he just maybe been a little bit better about the mediation, so to speak, that could have happened in the game. So, but Zak Butters is clear. So
yeah, one final thing that I'll say on that topic before we kick into the game against Hawthorn is that it's good to hear that we were actually prepared this time around, because there have been some recent tribunal hearings which have left a lot to be desired from our legal representation, Vegemite lids, etc., etc. So yeah, it's that's one good thing, and yeah, better to be over prepared, obviously, as the saying goes, and but in the end it wasn't necessary.